What is going on, guys? It's Noah here with Custom RC Mods. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back here to my college dorm room. This is my first video that we've shot here, and I'm really excited to go ahead and start making videos again. It's been about a week since I've moved in. I was able to go ahead and get that guinea pig video posted. If you haven't seen that already, that is a very, very good, entertaining video. Hopefully, I've gotten a lot of good feedback on that one. But we're gonna go ahead and start back onto the grind. Videos as usual, starting right now. And in today's episode, I've got the Emax TinyHawk. I got this one used just like a lot of my other drones. I got this one on Facebook Marketplace, which is a little bit interesting, but there's definitely a lot of good deals to be had. I normally just restrict all my deals to RC groups, but there are a lot of other places where you can find a really, really good sale. This one was about $55 or so and is in really good condition, never had been flown. I've been flying it around my apartment recently and I really, really like how this thing performs. It gives a great acro brushless experience in a very bite-sized package. One thing that a lot of brushless micros have is just too much power, and it's just a lot to handle, especially when you're flying in acro mode in a tight space. But this thing just flies really, really well. And yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. First things first, there's not a lot to say about the specs here. This is a stock TinyHawk. It's got these stock motors. The only thing upgraded on here is the 4-blade props off the TinyHawk S. And one of the props actually broke when I initially had it. It exploded on the first flight, so I went ahead and upgraded those, but they're just direct replacements on that point. Stock TinyHawk board, VTX camera, everything like that. The only thing to note about this is that, as you can see, we are kind of coming apart here on this frame, just because, you know, obviously I've been crashing it and things like that happen. So there's not too much else to say about this. It is running Betaflight, and the nice thing about this is it does have the full Betaflight OSD, which really isn't all that common in micros, and that's just such a nice touch, so I can, you know, monitor the stats of this quad and just know when obviously I need to land or anything like that to preserve the health of my batteries. But yeah, really liking this thing overall. Let's go ahead and take this thing for a lap around the apartment. I've got my radio here and I've got my goggles. Let's just go ahead and get this thing done. All right, guys, so I'm running 4 50 milliamp hour 1-cell batteries with this. These are from Gaoang, which is actually the brand that makes all my other micro batteries, and they're really nice. It's got a very high C rating on them. They're not high voltage, but they definitely do provide sufficient flight times for this little quad here. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide it in. It slides in just like this. You can see sideways, which is actually really good. The battery doesn't get moved around in flight as easily as if it was mounted front to back, where if you hit something, the battery can fly to the front and throw off your center of gravity, which is actually really important on these micros. So then we can go ahead and plug it in just like that, and you know, just like any other brushless freestyle quad. BL Heli startup. This thing actually even has D-Shot 600, which is really nice. It has turtle mode, everything that you'd really want in a modern micro. So let's go ahead and get the radio on, get my goggles on, and we're gonna get flying. All right, guys, so here we are. Let's go ahead and take this thing on up. All right, so we're probably gonna be doing most of the flying here in the common area, the kitchen, just because there's the most space. And this thing flies really, really well, nice and smooth. This feels really planted and predictable, especially coming from like 5-inch quads. Obviously, it doesn't have a lot of power. It's still only running on a single cell battery. So it's not like the Beta 75X, which is running on a 2-cell. But this thing is just really nice little performer. Just doing my little left-hand turns. Trying to keep things chill. I don't really like crashing this thing, because sometimes turtle mode works, but because it's not exactly a true X design on here, a true, you know, front to back proportional in terms of motor spacing, the turtle mode is a little bit trivial, and on the smooth floors the motors tend to just slide around. So yeah, we're just doing our laps around here. Unfortunately, this is just not the most ideal place to fly a quad that can get up to speeds, especially in acro mode. It's definitely more suited for a tiny whoop. But this thing can still fly. It just, you obviously need to be a little bit better of a pilot. And you know, I have the skills to fly smoothly. But if you're just trying to fly with me and you're a total beginner, this may be a little bit too small. So if you guys have an apartment and you want to fly the Emax TinyHawk, it might be a good second or third drone, just once you've gone ahead and improved your skills. So all this is flying in acro mode, which is really, really nice. I think that there is a little bit of a buffer on the tunes on this thing. It just crashed. back up in the air. A little bit of a buffer. I don't know if it's just super high D gains. I can't really feel it out, and I haven't looked into the actual tune in Betaflight. I know that it has really high P and D gains, and that's just something that you can really get out of this, and it makes it, I can use a lot of the stick travel before it does a lot to the quad. So I still have my typical rates on here, but I can really be very lenient in the center of the stick and not feel like I'm being too touchy and out of control on this quad. So as you can see, we're getting those low battery warnings. I found that it still flies really well all the way down to 3 volts, which is nice, and that's one thing that you get when you upgrade to a brushless. It may have a higher current draw just because they're more powerful motors. However, you can fly this thing with very minimal battery sag all the way down to about 3 volts or so, pretty comfortably. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring it in and switch the battery. I'm not going to chance it too much more than I have to. Alright, so here we are for battery number 2. Again, just really impressed with how this thing flies. I've set this thing up like an acro quad, so there's no angle mode. I'm not primarily flying just in normal acro mode, and it flies really, really well for what it is. It's just very maneuverable and it's very controlled. So like I said, there's not as much power as you would expect in like a freestyle quad of this scale, just because we are running a 2-cell. Or a 1-cell rather than a 2-cell battery, so you have half the voltage, but you can still do most of the acro. And the one nice thing that the brushless motors give you that also might contribute to that low battery sag is the fact that you have all the power on tap as soon as you need it. So it's not like a brush motor, which will actually tend to give you a little bit more of a delayed throttle response. This one's actually going to be a lot better because it will give you that motor spin up a lot faster. They're a lot more torquey. So you're not going to lose as much altitude trying to recover from a roll like that. And you guys saw I actually lost a prop there, so I'm going to go ahead and get that right now. Alright, yeah, so this motor right here that has the frame damage is actually, I don't know if the prop's a little bit loose or the motor shaft is a little bit different. But there's a little bit of an issue. This prop just keeps coming off and crashes. I might use some CA glue or something like that to kind of tack it into place, but nothing really breaks. The prop just kind of comes loose and comes off, which is really interesting because the prop actually has to come down and off, but maybe in high tilt scenarios, it kind of just, becomes a little wobbly, especially with this frame being compromised right here and just comes off. So might have to look into that a little bit more, but for now, we're going to go ahead and keep flying. Alright, so we're back up in the air. Try to keep things clean here. But yeah, this is a really, really nice quad, like I have been saying. Another thing that's really nice about the Betaflight compatibility is that it has this OSD. I briefly touched on this, but as you can see here, I've got all the stats that I would normally have, even flying on up to one of my 5-inch acro quads. And this thing, it even has RSSI that's functional. It has a built-in FrSky D8 receiver in here. So it flies really, really well. I'm very happy, especially just to have all these stats to monitor the vitals of how this quad is flying. But yeah, the RSSI is huge, especially if you're going to be flying in a larger area or in multiple rooms. You can kind of see how your link quality is doing. Which is something that obviously in traditional tiny whipping is just really not heard of, because you're using an all-in-one unit that doesn't pass through the flight controller. You're not getting that chance to have an integrated OSD like you would. Yeah, let's see if you can do yaw spins. That's, even with the fact, I was actually pretty surprised there, because like I said, this is not a proportional drone where the pitch and roll have proportional motor spacing, so being able to do a yaw spin like that is actually really, really impressive for this quad here. Let's go ahead and bring it in, and let's pop another battery in. Alright, that'll do. Alright guys, so that about wraps up this video with the Emax TinyHawk. I mean, for what it is, this thing is really awesome. It definitely splits the difference between like your traditional Tiny Whoop and like your Beta 75X or your 2S whoop, which is just all out mad powerful. That thing should not fly in here. I mean, it's just so much power and it's so, you know, touchy. Anytime you don't hit your angles just how you want them, you're going into the wall, you're going all around it. You can fly nice and precise like you will with a Tiny Whoop with this thing, but you can also obviously have the comfort and strength of a brushless motor that this thing has. It's still obviously relatively controllable. So yeah, really like this thing overall. You'll definitely see some more videos of it soon. There's not a lot that I can do in this apartment setting in terms of just flying around. I will have to go to a local park that I have not really arranged yet if I want to do some other flying of those larger drones. So these are nice, convenient videos to make that we might have to make more of in the future. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for some more on the bench content here very soon. Obviously, I have a lot of time on my hands to just go ahead and do stuff in between schoolwork, and I'm really excited to make these videos for you. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comment down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.